In what universe is it appropriate for a governor-general to deride people for their beliefs? Opinion. This is not a column about whether climate change is real or whether human actions have accelerated the rate of the change. For the record, my views are it is and they have, but that doesn't really matter. It is also not a column about whether there is merit to the notion that Geminies are exceptionally quick-witted and sociable, or whether life was created by a divine invention. On these, my views are what and how much time do you have? Again, for the purposes of this column, it doesn't matter. Payet, left, meets Britain's Queen Elizabeth II during a private audience at Balmoral Castle, Scotland, on September 20, 2017. Urbach argues Payet's role in Canada should ultimately be apolitical. The Associated Press. This is a column, rather, on whether the Queen's representative in Canada, someone who is supposed to be uncontroversial and apolitical in her role as steward of the functioning of the Government of Canada, should be deriding people for their beliefs on issues like climate change, religion and alternative medicine. The answer should be obvious. On Wednesday night, Governor Gen. Julie Payet appeared as keynote speaker at the Canadian Science Policy Conference in Ottawa. From her podium there, she took on everyone from climate change deniers to religious observers. Can you believe that still today in learned society, in houses of government, unfortunately, we're still debating and still questioning whether humans have a role in the earth warming up or whether even the earth is warming up, period, she said. Payet's delivery was theatrical, her tone incredulous, and we are still debating and still questioning whether life was a divine intervention or whether it was coming out of a natural process, let alone, oh my goodness, a random process. And so many people, I'm sure you know many of them, still want to believe that maybe taking a sugar pill will cure cancer, if you will it. And every single one of the people here's personalities can be determined by looking at planets coming in front of invented constellations. The role of the Governor-General is apolitical by design. As a representative of the Crown, she is expected to use her executive powers in the interest of the Confederacy, and not a single party, or group or administration. The integrity of the role falls apart if the Governor-General is perceived to be of one camp or another. For that reason, some will argue that the Governor-General should never weigh in on topics that are even remotely political. They argue that, while some people have decided that, for example, the science is settled on climate change, the very fact that debate still exists on the topic should preclude the Governor-General from inserting herself in the conversation, lest she appear to be of a certain allegiance. There is some merit to that position. Indeed, the tweet by Environment Minister Catherine McKenna cheering on Payet for her remarks should make Canadians more than uncomfortable. We don't want a government that is a fan of or proud of the Governor-General. We want a government that is essentially indifferent to the Governor-General. Could not be prouder that Julia Payet stands up for the science on climate change. We live in a good country, Canada. https://t.co/a/nytq510ho. Nevertheless, if Payet is going to weigh in on these issues, and it's somewhat expected that she will, being an engineer and an astronaut and all, there is a proper way to do so. Had Payet used her platform to urge Canadians to be mindful of their carbon footprints, or laud the scientific breakthroughs in modern medicine, or even to warn about the dangers of climate change, I'd probably be writing my 37th column on Ontario's stupid marijuana plan right now, and not one on the Governor-General. But she didn't do that. Instead, Payet essentially mocked people for believing in horoscopes, alternative medicine, divine intervention, and for not believing in climate change, incredulous that some Canadians would hold those views still today in learned society. Perhaps you believe those people deserve to be mocked. That's fine. But there are more than 36 million Canadians whose job titles are not expressly to be impartial who can take on that responsibility. What's more, Canada has health, science, and environment ministries that challenge climate change deniers and pseudo-scientific medicine every single day. Our Prime Minister talks about the environment all the time. Payette's voice is not only damaging to her own credibility as an apolitical figure, but it's also largely unnecessary. Payette didn't simply state facts as some of her defenders have insisted. In any case, stating a fact can still be perceived as making a political statement. Had Payette flippantly dismissed